Well, I was going to start today's show out by talking about getting into my top five for this week for the NFL and college football, my top five teams. But we got to start today talking about the marathon. Let's just call it what it is. An 18 inning epic Game 3 World Series last night. We got to start the show about that. Plus, it is Top 5 Tuesday, so I got to give you my top 5 teams in both the NFL for Week 9 and college football for Week 10. Plus, can the Ravens got a big win last Sunday? Can they eat their way back in the competition for a playoff spot? I'm getting all that today in the Sports Ozone. Greetings and salutations. Big O with the big mouth here coming at you in the Total Sports Ozone for October 28th, 2025. Yes, we're only 3 days away from Halloween and 4 days away from turning the calendar to a new month. How the time is passing fast. Like I said, we're going to get into my top five for college football and the NFL. But first, look, I watched the World Series game last night. I watched from like the time the game was tied when Alejandro Kirk hit that game tying home run, and I watched from the eighth inning on, but I fell asleep. Yeah, that game, I fell asleep after the ninth inning. It was still tied. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's probably going to win it. And I gotta wake up and I catch the highlights and see who won this game. And I thought the game was over. I woke up local time just a little after 2 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up just in time to see Freddie Freeman hit the game-winning walk-off home run in the 18th inning. That's crazy. The 18th, I just woke up. He was at the plate, and I think the next pitch I saw, dead center field. And I'm looking because I'm still trying to shake the little cobwebs out of my eyes. I'm like, this game is just not ending. And I looked at the clock and I'm like, it's 2 something in the morning. So that means it's like a little after midnight out west. And I'm like, this game is just now ending? What the hell? And the final score was Dodgers 6, Blue Jays 5. I'm like, you mean to tell me nobody scored for almost 9 innings? They went basically 2 games. They played 2 games in one. Let me give you some numbers. If you haven't known, if you didn't look these numbers up, the total time of the game was total game time was 6 hours and 39 minutes. It's the second longest World Series game ever. Second longest by time. And it's tied for the longest as far as innings in World Series history behind the 2018 Game 3 between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. There were, by the numbers, 609 pitches thrown. That's a lot of heat going into the plate. 600 between both teams, there were 609 pitches thrown. right? They used a total of 25 players that played out in the field. 25 base players or field players. They used 19 pitchers between the two of them. And between both teams, they left a total of 37 men on base. So it seems like from the ninth inning until the end, nobody could get a clear advantage. They had opportunities. From what I saw in the highlights, both teams had opportunity to put runs across the plate between the 10th and the 17th inning. Nobody could do it. There was a great defensive plays. Both bullpens held it down. And then finally, Freddie Freeman sent everybody home with a walk-off home run. And I'm gonna put it like this: Ohtani, if the Dodgers don't, whether the Dodgers win this series or lose it, Ohtani should be MVP. He can't be stopped. He really can't be stopped. I mean, he's doing it not only at the plate but on the mound too. I mean, he's a beast. He is a literal beast out there. And it's crazy to see that he can not only strike out 10, 11 batters when he pitches, but he can hit 2, 3 home runs in the same game. But they need a little bit more in this game. Because both bullpens, you could see both teams just certainly played flat out. They went all out. And neither team wanted to lose this game. And of course, it's game 3 of the World Series. This is a pivotal game. They put you up 2-1, and it shrinks the series. That means you're 2 wins away. So, of course, you're going to go all out. But I didn't think they would go all out for 6.5 hours. Both those. And the thing is, they got to play again tonight. That's the crazy thing. They got to play again, do it all over again tonight. I hope they're getting some sleep. I hope all the players on both those teams have got some rest. Because after last night's epic, they needed. You could tell both teams were spent after that game. But it was an enjoyable epic. When I watched the highlights, it was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable. And hats off to the fans that stayed out there all that time. Because not a lot of people left. And I'm thinking, wow, these people, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, Monday night, Tuesday morning. I know a lot of people got to go to work. And here it is, it's just after midnight out in the West Coast because it was like a little after 2 o'clock Central Time. So I'm like, wow, I know those people got to go to work. And they stayed out there. And they cheered. Not just the Dodgers fans. There were a lot of Blue Jays fans in the stands too. They stayed. They stayed until the end. So hats off to the fans. Who says baseball is dead? No. Baseball is not dead. Baseball needs a salary cap, but it's not dead. It's moments like this is what makes baseball baseball. I mean, an epic 18 inning World Series game, and nobody left. Not too many people left, at least. You got to give your hats off to the fans. They got because they got their money's worth and then some. I mean, they literally got 2 games in one night. And it wasn't a doubleheader. It was like same game, but basically 2 whole games for one game. So they got their money's worth and they stayed to the end. So hats off to the Dodgers fans and a little bit of Blue Jays fans that were there for sticking this one out. But that was an epic. That was an epic. Longest. I didn't see the 2018 World Series, but with this one, like I said, I saw up until I dozed off around the 10th inning, and I woke up just in time to see Freddie Freeman hit that home run. So it's the longest World Series game I've ever been involved in watching any part of it. And I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. 18 innings. Whew. Those players earned their money last night and then some. But Dodgers got the big hit when they needed it, and they lead 2-1 with game 4 tonight out in Los Angeles. Just wanted to start the show off with that. That was a crazy, epic game last night. And again, hats off to the players and the fans for stick riding that one out. Great scene for a World Series game. Big O with the big mouth here in the Total Sports Ozone. Now, let's get to what we need to talk about. Top 5 Tuesday. So here I is giving you my top 5 in the NFL and the college football as of week 9 in the NFL and week 10 in college football. Now, you might agree with my top 5, you might not. But I welcome your opinions. I welcome your comments. By the way, please hit that like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. But you might not agree. You might think another team or 2 teams or even 3 teams belong in the top 5. You might not. But this is my top 5. This is my top 5. So, without further ado, let me show you who I believe is in the top 5 college football teams for week 10. This is as of this following week for games that play after last Saturday. So, here we go. Number 5. Now, this is my surprise some of y'all. I know it's going to surprise some of y'all if y'all see this. But I got that number 5. I got my top 5. I got at number 5, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They ain't lost yet. And they're finding ways to win games in the ACC. Now, we're talking about an ACC that's Miami's supposed to have ran away with it. First, earlier in the year, Clemson was the team. But look who's undefeated. Look who is undefeated. They one of 6 undefeated teams in FBS college football. Yeah, they were the ACC, and they really haven't played nobody yet. They ain't really lost yet either. They well on their way to a college football playoff spot. And with their schedule, I believe they can afford to lose a game and they'll still be in. And they look like they're going to the ACC championship. It all depends. It's all a matter of who they play. It all the matter of who they play. But I like their style of play. They can run the ball down your throat if you let them. If you let them, they can run the ball down your throat. But if you stop the run, hey, they got just enough of a passing game, and their defense is opportunistic. It keeps them in games. Because, quite frankly, Georgia Tech should have lost 2 games. But the defense made holes, got plays when they needed to. They made plays when they needed to, and the offense took advantage of it. And yes, they're in a Power 4 conference, so I'm going to put Georgia Tech at my top 5, at number 5. They've earned that. At 8-0, they've earned it. And they're looking like they're well on their way to going to the ACC championship game. So, yes, Georgia Tech, I got this week at my number 5. My number 4, I'm going to go with Alabama. They just keep rolling. And somehow, some way, after winning 4 consecutive games against ranked opponents, they went to South Carolina and they didn't look too good at the beginning. And I was under the impression they might get upset by the Gamecocks. But they made the plays. This is what this is the epitome of a championship team. When you ain't played your best, and let's face it, Alabama didn't play their best in that game, but they made the plays in the end to win. They got the touchdown and a beautiful 2-point conversion to tie the game. And then on defense, they got the strip and the fumble to put them right back in the position to win with about a minute and some change left. And what they do, went into the end zone, no problem. They turned a 8-point deficit with about 3 minutes left into a 7-point win. Just like that, scoring 15 unanswered points with about in the last 3 minutes. That's what championship teams do. And that's why I have Alabama in my top 5. Because that's what I wanted to see from Alabama. I wanted to see some adversity on the road. I didn't care who it was against. I wanted to see them be down in the fourth quarter, struggling, but find a way to win. They did that last weekend against an inferior opponent in South Carolina. Now, if they'd have lost that game, everybody like, oh, Alabama let down. They did all the wins, and then they played down to their level of competition. They could have done that, but they didn't. For 3.5 quarters, they did. But when it mattered, they made the plays. Simpson, Williams, they made plays. They made the plays to win games. That's why most of the media publications have Simpson as the lead in the lead for the Heisman Trophy. I don't blame them. When you down like that and you find a way to come back and win, yeah, why not? When you haven't played your best game and yet you still find a way to win, that's what championship teams do. That's what they do all the time. And it don't matter what level. When you can win, especially on the road, when you're not playing your best and you find a way to get that dub, that's a championship team. That's championship mentality. And that's what you need, especially in the SEC, especially the way SEC on the road is. So, yeah, Alabama, solid, number 4. Number 3 on my top 5 for college football for week 10 goes to Texas A&M. Big time win on the road. I mean, big time road win. This is what makes you have to consider Texas A&M a true national title contender, not just SEC, national title contender. To go on the road in a very, very hard place to play in Death Valley, and not only win but blow the doors off of LSU in their house. What can you say? What can you say? You got to put them up there. You have to. I didn't think they could do it. I definitely didn't think Texas A&M will be blowing LSU out by 24 points in their house. I mean, they beat them so bad they sent their LSU fans, they sent Tigers fans home around halfway through the third quarter. And then subsequently, LSU's head coach got fired on Sunday. So A&M was right there. I mean, they embarrassed LSU. And with their schedule coming up, I think the hardest game they got left on their schedule was Texas. And they got them at home. So I don't see why, and in the SEC championship game, which who knows who they're going to be playing. They could be playing Alabama. They could be playing Georgia. They could be playing Ole Miss. Who knows? They're going to be playing one of those 3, I believe. And that's going to be, I think, their next big test. Besides the Texas game, because that's a rivalry game. You throw Texas A&M. That's an old Southwest Conference rivalry game. You throw the records out the window when you're playing your rivalry. You throw the records and the stats out the window. But I believe that's their next toughest opponent, and that ain't until the end of the season. So they can keep rolling along, and if they beat, they handle Texas, boom, they're in they're in the SEC championship game. Who they play, who knows? But I believe they're solidly in the SEC championship game. That quarterback Reed, he was dealing. The quarterback Reed and their defense. Well, the defense is great. I wouldn't say it's elite, but it's great because they did play a team that really struggles on offense, and that's why Brian Kelly got the boot. LSU doesn't generate enough offense to scare anybody. But when you can hold them down like that in their house on a Saturday night game, all the whole nation looking at it, and they embarrassed them. I mean, they literally embarrassed them, especially in that third quarter. It was just a disaster for LSU, and you got to give Texas A&M their props. You have to, and they sitting right there at 8-0, looking pretty. You got to give them their props on that. I know I do. That's why I got them at my number three team this week in my top 5. But number 2, they ain't got they number 3. A&M is number 3. I can't put them at number 2 because number 2 is still for another week the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, they just still doing what they do. Now, a lot of people are saying Indiana should be number 1. They got the most impressive win, the most impressive resume, and la-di-di. Yes, you beat Oregon. I give Indiana that. Give them all credit due to Indiana for beating Oregon on the road. But I'm not going to jump you at number 1. I'm not going to jump Indiana at number 1 on my list simply because they blew out a team they're vastly superior to at home. Yes, I know UCLA had a little bit of a little spurt with a little 3-game win streak, but they really hadn't beaten nobody except maybe Penn State. They really hadn't beaten anybody of significance. And then Indiana put the brakes on all of that with a 56-6 beatdown. With the game was pretty much in doubt. wasn't no more in doubt. Excuse me. After the first 6 minutes of the game, and Indiana just did what you're supposed to do if you're a championship level team. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You beat vastly superior teams, especially at home. And that's what they did. They just did their job. So they stay at number 2. Now, if they did this against, I'd say, Michigan, blow out Michigan like that, whether it's been at home or on the road, or if they'd have done this, if they'd have blown out Penn State like this, even though Penn State down, I might think about jumping them to number 1. But they blew out UCLA. If they did this to, I would say, in the Big Ten, if they did this to Nebraska, maybe. If they did this to, they already did it to Illinois. If they did this to Iowa, because Iowa's always had a tough defense. But if they did this to Iowa, I would consider jumping them to number 1. But they didn't. They did this against UCLA. That means you did what you're supposed to do. You took care of business against an inferior opponent at home. That's what you're supposed to do. So, to the Indiana fans and all that, enjoy being a number 2. Yeah, I ain't never been there before. Ever. So, until the last couple of weeks. So, enjoy it. But, the number 1 team, and you can call it bias, you can call it whatever you want. My number 1 is still going to be the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're still number 1, even though they were on a bye week. You ain't going to jump a team just because they didn't play last week. Nah. Ohio State is still number 1. They still have the best defense in the country. And it's not even close. Through 7 games, they've only given up 41 points. And I don't care who they playing. I don't care. You can say they ain't played nobody. You can say the strength of schedule is weak. The strength of record is weak. Whatever. When you only allow 41 points in 7 games, that means it's less than a touchdown a game they've given up. They've only given up 4 touchdowns all season. No other team in college football can say that. No other team. No other team in college football. Not Indiana, not Texas A&M, not Alabama, not Georgia. No other team in college football can say they've given up only 4 touchdowns. 4. And no team in football can say different. That's why they're number 1. And I told you, and you have a Heisman, yes. You have a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback, yes. Julian Sayin has worked his way into the conversation in the Heisman Trophy discussion. He's probably the one quarterback that's done it more quietly than any of the others. But that's because Ohio State, they've done everything they've done this year has been really quiet. They're just taking care of their business as the defending national champions. That's why That's why a lot of people don't talk about it, and that's fine with me. That's fine with me. I don't hear much discussion about Ohio State on the radio, on ESPN, on Fox, on Bleacher Report. I don't hear a lot of them, and that's fine. Oh gosh, that's fine. That's fine with me. Because unless I hear about them, that means they're doing their job. I don't hear too much about Ohio State. That means they're doing what they're supposed to do. Just keep winning. And at this point in the season, that's all it's about. Keep winning. They don't have to worry about eye test. They don't have to worry about strength of record. They don't have to worry about strength of schedule. And I know a lot of people probably will have Indiana and Texas A&M above Ohio State simply because strength of schedule, strength of record, and all that sort of nonsense. But let's face it. But here's the question I want to ask for all of you guys. Do you honestly think on a neutral field, Indiana or Texas A&M could beat Ohio State on a neutral field? That's the question I would ask. And until my answer to that is yes, one of them can, they're gonna stay number 1. That's how I answer that question, and that's how I keep Ohio State number 1. And it is not because I don't expect Ohio State to light up the scoreboard. Maybe that's mainly because the running game needs to improve. That's the only weakness Ohio State has. Their running game. Their running game is a little lackluster. Let's put it like that. It needs to be a little bit more explosive. Other than that, where's the weakness? Where's the weakness? Julian Sayin, around 75% completion percentage. Has 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You got 2 of the best wide receivers in all of college football. Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. And don't forget Ennis. Where's the weakness? Best defense in college football. Averaging 5.8 points per game allowed. That means you don't score on them. Not enough to scare them. And I've been saying this for a few years. Ohio State is the only team in college football to wit, if they got a double-digit lead on the opponent at the half, 2-score lead at the half against their opponent, game over. The game is over. You're not coming back. And that's against anybody. Anybody. If they go up double digits or 2 scores or more at the halftime break against your team, game's over. You might as well go find something else to do. They ain't coming back. They might let you your team score maybe one touchdown or field goal just to make something feel good. Well, that game's over. The game's over. You're not winning. Game over. That's Ohio State. That's what Ohio State has been. You get you up 2 scores, and with that defense, game's over. Ohio State is still number 1. Like I said, until I feel the 2 or 3 teams behind them could effectively beat them on a neutral field. Forget home or away. They can beat them on a neutral field. Until I feel one of those 3 or 4 teams can beat Ohio State on a neutral field, they stay at number 1. You might not like it. You might think I'm biased. Whatever. They're still the number 1 team in the country until somebody beats them. Plain as simple as that. That's my top 5. That is my top 5 college football teams for week 10. Now, you might not agree with it, especially the Georgia Tech one. I know I threw a curveball at some of y'all saying, you put Georgia Tech at number 5? Yep, I put Georgia Tech at number 5. Why? They ain't no ACC. They already got one win against top competition. Ranked competition. They already got one. And I believe they got one on the road. Why not put them in number 5? They've earned it. 8-0. Undefeated. There's several other teams that have been vastly overlooked by the media, by the AP voters, by the college football coaches poll. And I believe Georgia Tech is one of them. Yeah, they're in the top 10, but I believe they should be top 5. What? You can talk about Georgia. Georgia Tech ain't lost the game yet. No. And I know none of y'all saw that coming. Did you? So why not put them? Why not? They've earned that. At least I believe they've earned it. So why not put them? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Why not put them at number 5? They've earned that. In my opinion, they have earned it. So they're my number 5. And they, until somebody tell me why they shouldn't be number 5, I believe they've earned it. So we just gonna keep them at number 5, at least on my clock. Because they readily earned that distinction. And you might think different. Oh, Georgia! What about Georgia? What about Ole Miss? They beat Oklahoma. I don't care. Yeah. There's so much love given to the SEC. Sometimes it just make this. It's like, do they deserve that much love? Really? I don't think so. Do they deserve that much love? And then I know there are like what 9, 10 teams in the SEC that are ranked, but really, how many of those teams are legitimate shots or have legitimate shots at winning the national title? 3. I give you Alabama, I give you Texas A&M, and I give you just by off the top of my side of my head, Georgia. That's it. Everybody else, they're great. They're having good seasons, great seasons. But if you put them in the college football playoff, they ain't winning. They're not winning. Vanderbilt, they ain't winning. Missouri, no. Ole Miss, no. No. They're not. They got good teams. They have great teams. They're having good seasons, but they're not national title contenders. At least not in my eyes. They're just not. They all got flaws. But if you think different, hit me up. Hit me with a comment. Let me know how you feel about that. I welcome it. I welcome it. Let me know how you feel about that. So, big O with the big in the Total Sports Ozone. We're gonna move on to the NFL now. I'll give you my NFL top 5. My NFL top 5. So, let me get this set up here. I'm showing my NFL top 5 teams for week 9. Yeah, we already in week 9 already. Well, who knew? Who knew? Time just going on and on and on, ain't it? But here's my top 5 NFL teams for week 9. Now, this might throw you for salute. This may not. I don't know. But I told you about number 5. My number 5, I told you. I told you about my number 5. I told you about the Kansas City. I keep telling y'all. The Chiefs, don't sleep on the Chiefs. I keep saying it. And they're just proving it. Now that Patrick Mahomes has got all his weapons back, Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice, Travis Kelce, don't forget Pacheco, even a little bit of Kareem Hunt thrown in there for a little flavoring. With Coach Andy Reid and the defense rounding in the shape. I told you. Yeah, they had a really slow start. But once he gets his complement of weapons back, Patrick Mahomes is going to he's going to show you why he's Pat Mahomes, and he did it last night. The man threw what? He threw two interceptions. One of them really wasn't his fault, but he threw 2 interceptions, still threw 4 touchdowns. He's just the best. Patrick Mahomes, he's the best. That's why he's won so many the MVPs, and that's why he's won so many Super Bowls. He's just a bad boy. And I said, don't sleep on it. A lot of people were hating on the Chiefs. Oh, they ain't gonna do nothing this year. Okay. I say it's a long season. Don't let him get his weapons back. He just like y'all. People forget they are the defending AFC champions. And until somebody proves it to me that they can beat them straight up, either in their house or in the other opponent's house, I'm gonna still ride with the Chiefs in the AFC. I got to. That's my pick, but I'm gonna put them in top. I'm gonna put them at number 5 this week. I got to put them at number 5 this week. But they're coming. They coming next week. They go to Buffalo. I don't know why that game's gonna be on Sunday. That game should be on Monday Night Affair, don't you think? Chiefs, Bills. That should be a Monday night football game. The whole country, hell, the whole world should be seeing that one. The 2 of the best quarterbacks in the AFC, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, going at it. No, they put it on Sunday. I don't know why. But it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good one. Chiefs, my number 5 team this week in the NFL. Number 4, we're going to go with the Detroit Lions. They had a bye week, but that team is just scary. Detroit Lions is scary. They can put up points at will. Like I've been saying in previous podcasts, this team can score however it wants. However it wants. I'm pretty sure they come out the tunnel looking at the other team saying, how you want to lose today? Do you want us to run the ball down your throat, or do you want us to throw it over the top on you? Either way, they can do it, and they do it well. Gibbs, Montgomery out the backfield, Amon-Ra St. Brown, LaPorta. That team is deep, and it is good, especially at home. Especially at home. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, they average like 39 points a game at home. So it's hard to beat them in that forward field. It's hard to even hang with them. You can ask the Browns, you can ask the Bears, you can ask the Bucks. It's hard to hang with that team in their house. And then their defense, it's just opportunistic. I think the defense plays like we want to get the ball back to our offense so they can continue another onslaught on the opponent's end zone. And that's how they play. They play with the mindset, let's get this ball back to our offense as soon as possible and let them do what they do best. And it's been working. Detroit Lions is my number 4 team this week on my top 5. Number 3, we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers. Hey, when you can go into Pittsburgh and beat the snot out of the Steelers, I got to put you in my top 5. I just got to. When you can go down, and I know that had to feel good for the Packers team, because they beat Aaron Rodgers, their old QB, and they beat them in his house. And Love showed Aaron Rodgers, hey, I'm the man now in Green Bay. You in the history books. This is my show now. This is my time. This is my show. Either watch or get out the way. And he showed it. He showed it against Green Bay. And the Green Bay defense, that's why they got Michael Parsons. They made Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable. And then the running game for the Steelers didn't help much. But they did. The Green Bay defense did what they were supposed to do against a 40-year-old quarterback, and they made him uncomfortable all night. He couldn't find too many open receivers until late, and then by then it was too late. So kudos to the Green Bay Packers for picking up a big road victory this past Sunday in Pittsburgh. And I got them at number 3. I got them at number 3 on my Power 5 this week. My number 2 team of this week would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I know some of y'all say, well, Detroit beat Tampa Bay. They should be higher. I like the way Tampa Bay rebounded from that loss. I like the way they responded. I mean, that was probably the worst game when they went to Detroit. That was probably the worst game they played. And despite all those injuries to all these receivers, they still managed to find ways to win the game. You got to give Baker Mayfield some MVP consideration. You just got to. I mean, he's winning. He's still making plays without some of his top receivers. You got to give kudos to that. That's why I got him at number 2. The Bucks, the more they play, the more they impress me. They've impressed me. Baker Mayfield and the rest of the team, they've impressed me this year. Because you wasn't expecting this from the Bucks. At least I wasn't. And it looks like they're going to run away with the NFC South. And they're doing it banged up, hurt. A lot of their key wide receivers banged up. And yet they're still winning. I know they should. I know a lot of y'all would be thinking, why in the hell do you got Tampa Bay number 2 over the Detroit Lions? Detroit smoked their ass. I know that. Everybody was expecting that. What I wanted to see was how Tampa Bay responded. That's what I wanted to see. And they responded, I think, rather well. I mean, that's at least what I think they did. And consider all the injuries that the Bucks have had to deal with. Yes, they have responded nicely. That's just the way I see it. Yes, they beat the Saints. So, that's a divisional game. So all divisional games are important. And so they beat them. And they beat them pretty bad. They're supposed to. Like I said, they took a, you know, they lost to Detroit. People had doubts, because they beat some of the top teams. Like I said, I wanted to see how Tampa Bay responded after, not so pretty game on the road. How they responded. And then they had to go back out on the road, 23-3. That's how they responded. They took care of business against an inferior opponent on the road. That's going to put you in my top 5. And it puts Tampa Bay in number 2. Will they stay there next week? Mm-hmm. They got the Patriots at home next week. Actually, they got the Patriots. They're on a bye next week. They're on a bye this week, and then they got the Patriots at home. So who knows? But for this week, Tampa Bay is my number 2 team. Because I like the way they responded after getting blown out in Detroit. And then having to go on the road with all those injuries. I like to see that, especially out of Baker Mayfield. That's what I like to see. They're my number 2 team. Finally, if anybody don't have this team as the number 1 team in the NFL, something wrong with you. And even like I say, I call them like I see them. That's what I do. And if you do not have this team as the number 1, the next team as the number 1 team on your list or on anybody's list in the NFL, what the hell's wrong with you? Or have you seen this team play? And this team is the truth. And I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts. That team is the truth. Now I've seen them. I saw them play a full game last week against the Titans. Titans didn't have a chance. The Titans did not have a chance. The Colts played with them like they were playing with their food. And then when they finally got bored playing with their food, they just ran roughshod over them. That's how they look. They ran roughshod over them. And what can you say? I mean, what really can you say? You can't argue with 7-1. You can't argue with that. And it's not like they've been playing chumps. They beat the Broncos. They beat the Chargers in their house. Their only loss was a close loss to the Rams in their house. This team has legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. Will they make it? Who knows? I still ride with the Chiefs. But you can't argue with this Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor. One of those two, if both of those two should be in the MVP conversation. Jonathan Taylor should definitely be the odds-on favorite for NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He leads the league in rushing, and it ain't even close. It's not even close. 850 yards rushing, and we only do 8, and they've only played 8 games. So he's already damn near, he's on pace for a 2,000-yard season. Or at the very least a 1,800 season. But if he have a couple more games like he had Sunday, he could very well hit 2,000 yards. I wouldn't if he stays healthy. He could very well rush for 2,000 yards this year. And Daniel Jones, I'm still amazed where the hell this came from. I mean, what did he do? Did he eat extra Wheaties? Got one with the Lord. What did he do to transform his game into an MVP type? What did he do? Was it to change the scenery? Was it better coaching? Getting with a coach that can develop, that knew his weaknesses and worked with him on them? I don't know. But Daniel Jones he's a legitimate MVP candidate. He has 2,000 yards passing already with 13 touchdowns, only 3 picks, and he's got a QBR of 78.3. That's MVP type numbers. And we ain't even halfway, we're roughly halfway through the season. You can't argue with the numbers. What you can argue is, how the hell did he learn how to do this? And I'm wondering that myself. But with that two-headed monster, with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, and with a defense that opportunistic, they make plays, they get turnovers, and the Colts always capitalize on turnovers. I think they lead the league in points off turnovers. I think they lead or the second in the league in points off turnovers. That's why they're number one. I don't think anybody saw this coming, but that's why they're the number one team in the NFL. And they should be the number one team on everybody's Power 5. I don't care who you is. The video don't lie. And if you don't think they're number one, just watch them play. And I want to hear, oh, they ain't playing nobody. This is the NFL. You always playing somebody. Because this is professional players. They all out there playing for their jobs. So you can whip up on other professional football teams the way they've been doing it this year. You got to put them at number one. You got to put them at number one. Now, I believe they're going to get tested later on in the schedule. Yes, they're going to get tested later on. They got to go to Pittsburgh next week. That ain't, with the Pittsburgh defense, I don't know if that's going to be easy or not. Because their defense is not the steel curtain that we know that we're used to seeing. It ain't that no more. Then they got home in Atlanta, or then they got to go overseas to play the Atlanta Falcons. And they got to go to Kansas City. That's the bigger book. That's the one. That's the one that's going to tell everybody that the Colts are here to stay. The November 23rd matchup at Kansas City. If the doubters and the non-believers, that's to the doubters and the non-believers, that's the game that every Colts fan should be have penciled, circled on the schedule down the stretch. November 23rd at Kansas City. You win that game, nobody can doubt you. Nobody. I believe they'll win the next two games. But that November 23rd matchup after a bye week against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, that's the game that's going to let everybody know you here to stay. And you here, and you for real this year. That's the one that I believe they got circled. Every Indianapolis Colts fan has circled, and every hater or non-believer needs to check out. Because that's the one. If the Chiefs keep winning and the Colts don't stub their toe in the next couple of weeks, that's the one. Well, we'll see. But for week 9, I got the Colts at number 1. That's how I see. And that's my top 5 in the NFL for week 9. What do you think? You think I'm crazy? Why you put the Buccaneers over the Lions? They beat the Buccaneers. I know that. But the Detroit Lions didn't play this week, and B, I like the way the Bucs responded after a blowout loss. And they're banged up. Injuries. Mike Evans may be out for the season. Godwin, Ibuka, nursing hamstrings. And they still won on the road in the division. And it wasn't even close. It was a blowout. That's how you respond. That shows me that you for real. You ain't here just blowing smoke up nobody's ass. You here to play. You here to win. You here to play. To rebound like that on the road, that's rare. That is very rare. I don't care how weak the opponent is. To rebound from a beatdown they take in Detroit and go on the road and beat somebody else down in the next week, man, that's for real. That's why I got the Bucks at number 2. That's why. Because they showed me something. They showed me that they're here to stay. This ain't no fly-by-night thing. This ain't no fluke. They here to stay. And that's what I wanted to see from the Bucks before I could keep them in my top 5. So, yeah, they're number 2. Don't like it? Let me know why. All right? Let me know why. Now, I'm going to wrap my NFL part of this up by talking about the Ravens. Now, the Ravens took it to the Bears last Sunday without Lamar Jackson. I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson will be back for the next game. I'm told he might suit up for the next game, if I'm not mistaken. And the next game is on the road against the Miami Dolphins. So, and that's Thursday. That's this Thursday. The question I have of the Dolphins, for the Ravens, that is, who's sitting at 2-5, they're only 2 games behind Pittsburgh. Okay? Well, when Lamar Jackson comes back, do the Ravens still have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs? Not just make the playoffs, to win the division. Let's talk about that real quick. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-3. Their defense looks at best shaky. They can't run the ball real well. Aaron Rodgers is their saving grace, but the offensive line doesn't give him too much time to throw. And like I said, their defense, where you at, TJ Watt? Where you at, Hayward? Where are these guys at? Ramsey, where are you at? So can the Ravens actually catch them? With Lamar when Lamar Jackson gets back healthy and back on the field, can the Ravens catch the Steelers? I mean, they gotta play them again. They gotta play them twice, I believe. Yeah. Let's look at the Ravens schedule. Yeah. They still got 2 games against Pittsburgh. Yeah. December 7th and a flex game for week 18. So that could be anytime on the 28th. It's a flex game. So they got to play the Ravens, got to play the Steelers again twice. Can they catch them? Can they catch the Steelers? I believe they can. Lamar Jackson with Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews and Trey Flowers. I believe if they can just stay healthy, they can stay healthy. I believe they can catch the Steelers and might even surpass them. But the defense had a solid effort against the Chicago Bears. But that's my one little scary, my little moment of pause, my little red flag moment. Their defense needs to round back into shape. It's not that Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs defense that I've noticed, that I've been used to knowing and hating, but they need to step it up. They need to, take another step. They need to continue what they've been doing last week. They can continue that performance that they had against the Bears, and they get back healthy on offense. Lamar Jackson there, and they guys can get healthy and stay healthy. And the defense needs to just take that next step. I believe they can catch the Steelers. The Steelers are vulnerable. Don't think the Steelers are that steel curtain. They are vulnerable. They can be caught. Ravens only 2 games behind, and they got 2 games against the Steelers. So they can be caught. I believe they'll catch them. Lamar Jackson gets back healthy. I believe the Ravens will catch the Steelers and win the AFC North. Or at the very least, tie for the AFC North. And I believe that's going to happen within the next 6 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like the Ravens, but I see what I see. And I believe the Ravens, Lamar Jackson gets back healthy and stays healthy, they can catch and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers for the AFC North. What do you think? Let me know. Leave me a comment. And please hit the like and subscribe if you like what you see. Again, that was my top. You saw top 5 Tuesday. What do you think? Am I crazy? Did I make a mistake in one of my top 5s? Is there one team above the other that shouldn't be? Is there one team below us another that shouldn't be? Check out my top 5s and let me know. I got to get out of here. Big old for the with the big mouth. I got to get out of here for Tuesday. I'll be back Wednesday. We're gonna get into some more NBA. NBA heating up. Victor Wembanyama. Could he be the MVP? He looks like it. And Oklahoma City Thunder ain't lost a game yet. Could they repeat? Do they have the makings to repeat? We're gonna get in the NBA tomorrow. We're gonna get all in the NBA. We're gonna talk about the teams, where they at, where they should be, where they going, where they ain't going. We're gonna get it all in the NBA tomorrow in the ozone. Big O with the big mouth saying, peace.